Hi everyone, Leanne here from Jaded Blossom, and it's time for the mini fall release. This is my project 1. Hi everybody, so I'm using Jaded Blossom's new Gnome Friends Chipmunk die, their Nuts About You stamp set, their chipmunk faces, Nuts About You outline dies, fall embellishment clusters, card mat dies, Gnome Dies fall add-ons, fall banner dies, Gnome Dies animal add-ons, just the peanut. I'm using stitch circle dies and scallop circle dies. I'm using the Pebble 6-inch Woodland Forest along with Doodlebug's Fall Friends, Happy Harvest. And here we go. So I am just taking a piece of paper and I'm going to use that to kind of stick the squirrel head on, as I am just using it to support like the head and body for my card. So I'm adding on a little body. Now the little face was assembled with American Crafts brown cardstock, and then the beige is Paper Tray Ink Fine Linen. Okay, so I am adding a few strips of paper from that Pebbles pad to my card front. This is like about 1 inch. And then the other 2 are like 1/2-inch strips, just leftovers from the pad that I'm using from Pebbles. And I'm using my ATG tape. Oh, I had a brain fart there, forgetting what it was called. There we go. And then I'll trim off that overhang with a pair of scissors. Now I am working on a piece of Paper Tray Ink white cardstock cut at 5.5 by 8.5, scored at 4 1/4 inches. So it'll be a horizontal A2 size card. Now these little pieces are from the Pumpkin Spice Odds and Ends from Doodlebug. So it's just a leaf and then an acorn. These have little faces. It kind of went with what I have going on. Whenever I am making a card, I try to have the inside sort of somewhat match the outside. So I'm going to add a couple of hearts too from that set. And there we go. It's just, you know, a fun little look. I'm taking a secure white Jelly Roll pen and a number 10 to add a couple little highlights here and freckles, because why not, right? Adds a little something, something. And then I'm taking my black glaze pen and I will color in the eyes to make them shiny and give them a little bit of depth, like it makes them just pop a little bit more. Okay, so I am going to assemble this card. So this is a piece of paper from that Pebble 6-inch pad. I cut it out with Jaded Blossom's card mat dies, and then I used a circle die to cut the center out. So there we are. And then this is a piece of paper that's just a little bit smaller than that card mat die size. Basically the same, that's the same pad that I'm using. And then I cut out this by cutting out a scalloped circle die first. And then I used the same stitch circle die that I used to cut out the circle in the base piece. And then I end up with just kind of a decorative frame. Okay, so now I am going to add these items to the front of my card. So you'll see that's where I cut the scallop circle die out of this piece. No one will see because it's the center. This is going to go sort of frame it'll be a card mat to my other papers. A little pop of kind of an orangey color. I'm going to add that to my card base. This is 1/8 of an inch smaller, so that's 4 1/8 by 5 3/8. I think that's the measurement. There we go. Oops, and I realized my card isn't folded perfectly straight, so it was kind of cockeyed there. And there we go. And then I'm going to add this piece down on the front. So this is a very simple layout. There we go. And I will add that to my card front. So this is an all over kind of acorn background. Oops, I realized that text paper was kind of sticking out. I didn't line that up completely straight. I will add that to my card front there. And then now I can sort of slip my guy in. So this is my adorable little chipmunk. Remember, you can watch me assemble those on the Gnome Friends Chipmunk Dies assembly video. So there he is. Isn't he cute? Now I'm going to have him holding this little peanut. That peanut is from Jaded Blossom's Gnome Dies Animal Add-ons. And I put that together using Nina Desert Storm 80-pound cardstock and Paper Train Craft cardstock. Now I'm going to pop this up with some Stampin' Up! Dimensionals. And you see I popped up his little hands holding this peanut. So the idea is he's poking his head out of his hole. He's holding on to this peanut. And I realize I've got to add some dimensionals underneath that part where I thought I could just use glue. That did not work. So I'm going to add a couple of little Stampin' Up! Dimensionals there to keep things level. There we go. Now I assembled a bunch of acorns using, like I said, Doodlebug's Fall Friends and Doodlebug's Happy Harvest 6-inch pads. And also that Pebbles 6-inch Woodland Forest, just using scraps. I did ink around them with Close to My Heart cocoa ink. So I'm just going to add in all of these little acorns, kind of like they're kind of piled in front of them. So I'm just sort of tucking them here and there. And I think it looks super cute like this. So I'm just sort of tucking them all in. So that's why I used all those different, the fall banner dies and all those different, dies. Now I'm also using the little fall embellishment dies that are new, and I'm going to add those in. Now that I used Jaded Blossom's Dot Stripe for. Sorry, those little ones were Candy Stripe and Sprinkles, and I used a Copic E18 to color in the cap of the acorn. Sorry about that. So I have some Paper Train Ink Craft cardstock, and I'm going to stamp my sentiment. Snacks first, questions later, with VersaFine Clair Nocturne ink. There we go. And then I'm going to cut it out with I'll cut it out with the outline dies. But first I'm going to stamp a sentiment, Happy Fall, and that is from the Fall Candy stamp set. And super cute stuff, right? There it is. Now next I am going to I'm going to just cut out this, or I already cut out the outline of this sentiment. Sorry guys, using my Anna Griffin Empress and I hit my camera, sorry. It's going to be like Blair Witch Project, right? Jiggling all over the place. I don't even have motion sickness, and that movie bothered me. Just all that camera shaking just was very nauseating. And like I said, I don't even get motion sickness, so I don't know how people watched it with motion sickness. They just must have died. So anyway, I am just using some Stampin' Up! Dimensionals here. And I'm trying to make this, sentiment nice and level. I just find it helps. So I'm just going to sort of fit them all in there. And then I will pop up my sentiment once I've removed the release papers off the back. There we go. And I'll add that to my top upper right-hand corner. There we go. Isn't it cute? I just think this is so cute. So next I'm pulling out my Farmer's Market Puffy Icon stickers, and I'm going to add these little tiny acorns to my background. I just think they're super cute. And then for my farmers, I'm using Shape Sprinkles, Fall Flurry and Flower Farm. And I'm going to add on a few of these shiny acorns just to add a little something to my grouping. And I just think it looks super cute. And next I'm going to be using these, what are they called? I'm using the Flower Farm and Fall Flurry. I'm going to add a few of these little hearts. Whoops. I have way too many of these enamel shapes, and I'm trying to use them on all my cards and use them up as much as I possibly can. And it just helps if you do. I don't know. Otherwise, they're going to find my dead body in my craft room, buried under layers of cards and enamel shapes, right? But I am going to add in a bunch of these little black dots just for fun. I think it adds a little bit, it adds a little shine. And like I said, I'm using up some of these products that I have, adding to this little chipmunks pile. There we are. And at camp, I'm telling you, my cat sits outside with his leash on and loves to watch the squirrels and the chipmunks. He loves it. It's hilarious. He gets so excited out there. There we are. So I've decided I'm going to add a few of these little hearts in the upper left-hand corner. Trying to decide what I'm going to do. I'm going to add 3 of them, just for fun. And there we go. So thank you so much for stopping by. Be sure to hop on over to the Jaded Blossom blog, be inspired by the team, the Jaded Blossom store, to get your hands on these amazing products. And thanks as always for watching my videos. Really appreciate it. Make sure to come back and watch another one soon. Bye, everybody.